In this video, we'll learn about how to configure DHCP on Windows Server 2012. First, install DHCP on Windows Server 2012. After you installed the DHCP server, go to Start button and then click on Server Manager and then click on DHCP. You should also see the warning that you have to complete the DHCP server configuration. Please click on More to open the detailed information. In the detail window, please click on Complete DHCP configuration to start the wizard. The install wizard starts. Click on Next. In the next step, you can authorize the DHCP server to your Active Directory. You should do this because DHCP will update DNS and Active Directory services entries directly after allocating IP to DHCP client. The credential you choose should have domain admin rights, and then click on Commit. Please be advised, in Windows Server 2012 closed don't mean the configuration has finished. It only means that configuration will be done in background. You can see the status by clicking on the flag in the top of the server manager. To configure a DHCP scope, we have to open the DHCP MMC, so please click on Tool and then click on DHCP. In the DHCP MMC, we click right on the DHCP server and then click on First on Add or Remove Bindings. Please check if your binding is set on the right network interface. If not, please change it before you go on. After you checked and changed the settings, please click OK and go back in the DHCP MMC. Click right on the DHCP IOP version 4 and select New Scope. And then click on Next. Then DHCP and then click on Next. Now you have to select the IP range and the subnet that will be managed by your server. For example, 192.168.0.1 in IP address 192.168.0.254 and then click on Next. Now you can select exclusion from DHCP, example static IPs or reservations and the delay. Example 192.168.0.1 192.168.0.10 and then click on add. Excluded address range 192.168.0.1 to 192.168.0.10 and then click on next. Now you have to set the least time. Least means the time that a DHCP client keeps his IP before he asks the DHCP server again for a renewal. When you have a big IP scope and enough IPs and no special security audits in your company, you could keep 8 days. When you use DHCP for Wi-Fi connections or only a few IPs left, you should set the least to maximum 2 days. And then click on next. Here you can select if you want to configure the DNS default gateway and WINS wizard or later manually. I will configure the options with wizard. Later I will show you how to configure it manually. Click on next. At first we configure the default gateway. Normally this is a router or routable switch, layer 3 switch. For example 192.168.11.1 and then click on add. And then click on next. After this we configure the DNS options that will provide it via DHCP. First, the domain name. This should be the name of your DNS zone that will be handled with these IPs and the DNS servers. You can have as much DNS servers as you need, but mostly I see that admins have 2 or 3 redundant DNS servers. IP address 192.168.11.1 and then click on add. If an DNS server is not reachable, you will get a warning, but you are able to enter the IP either. Click on next. Of configuring DNS, you can configure WINS. In my case, I will leave this point out because I have no application or operating system planned that need WINS. You can configure it manually later at any time, so no worries. Click on next. We have nearly finished. Now you can decide if you want to start the scope. Click on next. Now click finish and the scope will be installed and activated. The DHCP MMC should look now nearly like this.